Hi everyone, I'm Michelle Boone with the Joyce Foundation, and it's been my great pleasure to work with Mayumi and the TAC board, the staff of the Illinois Arts Council, and the fantastic Chicago Host Committee. We've all been working really hard and very conscious about making this not just a fun time, but a really useful, informative, and inspirational opportunity for us to come together, talk about some of the issues that we all wrestle with our work every day.
Well, there are the three pillars that we talk about. To bring people together to talk about cultural democracy and what are the roles that people who work for institutions, ethnically diverse institutions, can bring to the table.
And it needs to represent all of the folk of color, Asians, Native Americans, you name it. And we need to put out a clarion call for people to come and talk about, and we need to tell, and that was bold at that time, we need to talk to each other. And we gathered, Kennedy Center hosted, DC Commission hosted, and we said, we didn't have a name at that point. We said, this needs to be a conversation, what should we call it? And that's when we coined the phrase, open dialogue.
I attended several TAC conferences, not all of them, but over the years I want to mention a couple that particularly touched me. In Columbus, Ohio, at the institution of Barbara Nicholson, who's here today, the Martin Luther King Complex for the Arts. So in Texas, first in San Antonio, which is it's the first TAC that I remember.
It was a time of great joy because we had come together at a National State Arts Agency meeting in New Orleans. And the topic of that meeting, the first time such a topic had happened since in the nation's history, was cultural diversity in the arts.
Expecting that that conference would represent us and define us in a way that was with respect and honor. And I think that was their intentions. But the road to hell was paved with good intentions.
The meeting was a very, very good meeting. It was very well attended. However, it left an awful lot to be desired. There were a few of us, very, very few, and I understand today there's even less people of color working in state arts agencies in executive positions today than it was when we began. But the small group that were in attendance had the opportunity to get together in one of those late evening kind of chit-chats. And surprisingly, as opposed to it turning into a session that denigrated what was there, the real question was, what are we going to do about it? What can we do about it? And who among us were willing to work in a collective to begin to assess what the situation is and how we might best move forward.
And then we decided to meet, I don't remember the time frame, in San Antonio, Texas. And at that point we decided that in San Antonio, Texas, that it needed to be formalized. And we met in DC, in New York, in my living room, and we said, we got to have a formal name. And either A.B. Spellman or Van Tuyl Whitfield said, if you're in DC, you got to have credibility. And we looked around and we said, you know what, we got Native Americans, Latinos, Asian, Pacific Islanders, African Americans. We need to be, who is any more American than us? So we need to be the Association of American Cultures. And when we learn to talk to each other and care about each other, then we can invite other people to the table. And that's how it started.
So TAC has been a point of wisdom for me. I'm now at the point where I want to listen. I don't want to talk. I need to open my ears and hear what you have to say, all of us. As we look forward to sustaining the original vision of TAC, I'm reminded of the importance of cultural equity and also honoring our cultural legacies, for which there are many. I look forward to our continued conversation and our open dialogue, and I thank you all for the work that you do in your own homes. Thank you.
What I'd like us to do is pair off together and talk about what worked in your organization or what kind of program you've operated, both success stories or stories that didn't work so well in terms of capacity building.
I wanted to know if you have alliances or any kind of organizations with your organization who are in the Roseland community or some of these communities who are going through this extreme violent situation. I live in the West Pullman area, so I'm really close.
My neighbor. I live in Pullman.
Okay, so you know what we're going through.
I went to the panel that talked about transition and longevity of programs, and I also went to one that was about grassroots fundraising. And that was very helpful because so many of our organizations have limited budgets and limited resources, and to really make the most of limited resources, I found that panel to be very helpful.
Grassroots is something that we're really trying to get our board members to understand and recognize, that we can make a really big impact through $10, $20 donations as opposed to just looking for the big corporate $10,000 and $20,000. So what I learned today, what I really like, is I would like us to go back and identify specific programs that Congo Square offers so that our donors can decide exactly where their $10 are going to go. And I can see that in our education program we called Ensemble in Action, in which students go into, our teaching artists go into schools. We also have the opportunity for young people to attend professional theater, which they don't do that often in the south and west side of Chicago.
Just trying to get a lot of information about how to do this, because we did it twice. We did 10,000, we did 10 by 2 in 2008, and we raised 15,000. In 2009, we got so excited we decided to do 15 in 3 weeks, and we didn't make it. So, so that widget is a thing that really bugged me, because I know that when people see you're not making it, they don't give. They don't think the other way, which is, oh, let me help them make their target.
I signed up to attend the Open Dialogue Conference to learn about other initiatives going on to help the exchange of cultures, as well as to learn about other activities going on in the arts world, specifically around culturally relevant or culturally specific organizations. What I hope to gain is kind of learning of other practices going on across the city and country, as well as building relationships and an expanded network.